Okay, this part gets a little sophisticated because this is where we talk about other life beings that don't exist of this earth. The fifth element, the sixth element, and the seventh element. As the deities were given an element to protect their mountain, there are 3 more deities that exist beyond what we have on this earth. And they are given the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th element, which we don't know of its existence yet. But you all understand and hear through television, scientific discoveries of life in other areas of the universe. Changing woman, white shell woman, began to quarrel amongst each other because one wanted to be supreme over the other. As you all know, if you have sisters, you can probably understand the correlation of one being dominant over the other. And that would never happen because one wants to always be right. And it's never settled. The score is never settled. And it goes on into eternity until their later years, and finally they come to agreement. Okay, we are equal. Sometimes it never ends. But for these 2 women, it was very drastic. The changing woman was told that her sister, the white shell woman, wandered down south with her god, the fire god. When they got down south, they began to travel and discover new religions. The coyote went down with them and said, I'm going to show you, because you're the younger sister, how to dominate your older sister. We're going to take over the world. Literally, I want to show you a new way of religion, which you don't even physically have to move. But this is what I want from you. When they went down south, the white shell woman and her god, the fire god, was shown this new technology, this new religion. He was taught the art of war, and he was taught by the master, the coyote, the manipulative creator. Not only physical manipulation, spiritual and also cognitive manipulation as well too. He said, with your children, we're going to dominate the entire Anasazi civilization, and we're going to make everybody worship you. But this is what I want of you. Through this art of war, of a new religion, their children were taught telepathic intervention of mind traveling through space. And when they were doing that, learning this process, their balance was not in store, because so much evil presided over good, and so much evil was existent. And It overrode the good of mankind, human civilization at that time in the South. The coyote said, human sacrifice. I want children sacrificed to me because I am teaching you this. And you're going to gain more power if you sacrifice human babies.
This is so it's so accurate with the movement of the former Aztecs who lived up in this area, Salt Lake City area. In 502 they moved down south, and it's all in that area where they had all the human sacrifice. This is just amazing.
And throughout this newly found religion and culture, it involved human sacrifice. It involved telepathic intervention of mind traveling through space. It involved homosexuality. It involved bestiality. Everything negative that you can imagine that was so evil, it was practiced. Why? The coyote wanted to be the supreme God. Not the goddess. His plan was to the whole entire civilization after he got the world at that time, before civilization.
Manipulation through subversion.
Yes. That was his plan. They slowly started marching from the south. They took over the Charcoalian civilization. Wiped them out. Human sacrifice. Then they went to the north. Took out the Pueblo and Anasazi civilization. Wiped them out. Human sacrifice. They came around from the north counterclockwise. You notice they're undoing creation. The coyote created humankind clockwise. Now he's uncreating everything counterclockwise. So he's trying to restore the balance in his favor through all this. But the Athabascan Anasazi civilization, they were smart. What did they do? They ran to the rocks and they hid and made sanctuary in the rocks. They weren't wiped out just yet. Slowly they were being taken back down, and they were going back towards California through the panhandle of Mexico, all the way back down south to South America. There was trading of slaves. There was trading of life, one for another. There was sacrifices that were made to the coyote. And when you see these figurines, there's what looks like a dog sitting with his ears pointed. The hieroglyphs of Egypt looks like dogs sitting.
Anubis.
Yes.
It's not a dog. That will come tomorrow. It's getting deeper and deeper. I want you to.
Wow.
This must have been worldwide, so the story seems like it's global.
Yes.
Because in Hawaiian, and I was a Hawaiian archaeologist, and the Hawaiians never had human sacrifice. But around 1200, those from the south, Tahitians, they came up and they took over the islands, and every religious structure, they enacted blood sacrifice in order to change the dynamics, and then blood sacrifice became
Yes. And it was also hid in the rocks, but he couldn't get his hand on them. So what did he do? They stayed in camp underneath the cliff dwellers. What happened? The cliff dwellers died of starvation. But the rest of the civilization practiced what? Telepathic intervention of mind traveling and human sacrifice and homosexuality and bestiality. 1987, I think it was. A British.
Secret ballot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The British archaeologist Lance Hensford came, and he wanted to know exactly how the Anasazi people disappeared. Nobody knew. Nobody understood of how they existed. He was told the Navajo creation story, but he didn't take it into perspective. He ignored it. He wanted scientific proof, not a story. He wanted scientific proof. Well, for us, our scientific proof is a long history of stories. And it all comes together and makes sense because we have lived it in our past lives. So he brought in a group of British archaeologists right around this corner, this big rock over here, where we're going to visit one of the arches next. There is an Anasazi civilization that is now in sand dunes. It was a whole big city. They took out mummified Anasazi anatomies, or the anatomical structure of an Anasazi being from the burial. And he brought his scientists in. They dissected the whole anatomical structure of the Anasazi person. They were so well preserved that the blood veins were still intact, and within the blood veins were dry blood flakes. So, how can you get scientific proof of how a whole civilization would disappear?
Diseases.
That's one theory. What would you do? How would you prove how they might have gotten wiped out? You would want what? DNA. How would you get DNA? But there's dry blood flakes. What do we do?
Rehydrate.
Yeah.
How do we rehydrate that?
Can't you get DNA from bone or bone marrow?
But it's
There's
dry.
no marrow left there.
Yeah, it's dried out.
Well,
How do you restore this?
water.
Somebody is on point. Grandpa was summoned. How would we restore DNA? Come on, let's go. Let's go on a sweat lodge journey. Grandpa took archaeologists over here and scientists over here and doctor of philosophy over here and put him in a sweat lodge. And he sang the creation song just as I sang to you. And he asked his son, my father, what did you envision? Oh, nothing but water, lakes, snow, rivers. There's your answer. I don't understand. Well, the answer was given to you through the sweat lodge. What don't you understand about it? I don't know how to restore it. Isn't 80% of your body composed of water? So, what do you do? In all recipe, what? Just add water. That's what happened. That was Grandpa's recipe to restore DNA. How natural, right? How simple. Mother Nature can be very simple, but we make it complex. Our civilization has become very complex, and we cannot understand the simple dynamics of human nature. So, just add water. When they did that, they found there was more white blood cells than red blood cells, which indicate what? What type of disease? What type of infection? What did they practice as one of their newly...
Homosexuality.
Yes.
So
And what comes with homosexuality?
HIV.
There you go.
Oh my word.
That's how they died.
Wow. They died of HIV? Oh my God.
Don't tell anybody the secret.
Just add water.
And
Just
they thought
add
it was
water.
a disease of the ancients.
This disease has been created by who?
Coyote.
To restore. The gods said, if you do not restore order, we're going to skin your hide. And we're going to scatter your body parts throughout the universe. You will never be spoken of, seen, or respected, or worshipped again. So he said, I'm going to restore order through their newly found religion. There you are.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amazing.